Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the SensaEdge. This is your host, Zoheb here. Today, we're going to learn about hidden power of deep in the money calls, the Nancy Pelosi's effect. Let's deep dive into the politician trade and learn on this deep in the money calls. But before that, learning more on the Nancy Pelosi's trades, right from the election day to the inauguration day, Nancy and Paul Pelosi made a staggering $38 million in stock trades. That's just not a lucky streak. Is this a calculated strategy? We're going to deep dive. Before that, in December of 2024, Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, sold about 24 million worth of Apple stock, $5 million worth of Nvidia stock. Less than a month later, Apple stock dropped at 9%, Nvidia is down at 17%. Did Pelosi time it so perfectly? Was it luck or something more? Let's learn deep dive more into that. But before that, let's take a look at quick video here. If you're able to see my screen, I'm going to bring this up. All right, that's Nancy Pelosi over there. So the reporters just asked like if traders in the Congress can trade, and Nancy Pelosi is like, yeah, it's a free market and they are allowed to trade. Again, that was Nancy Pelosi's comment again. So today we're looking at this wonderful legalized insider slash politician trading. If you're not familiar with the idea of this trading, it means trade markets with information that is not at public knowledge. This would be something like earning report, takeover bid, or a board firing. Really, anything at all might affect the business that is not currently in the known. It just so happens that Congress is in a unique position to receive this tremendous amount of non-public information about all sort of companies. Didn't you know it? They made themselves immune to the law that applies to everyone else. The truth is, insider trading is rampant. The closest we can come is to piggyback on the traits of Congress, learn those strategies to be applied, and here in the Sensa market, it makes it easy to do that. Let me bring up the Sensa market and we're going to deep dive here. All right, bring up the screen again. Here it is. All right. So again, if you go to sensamarket.com, here is the feature where you can track any of the politician trade. When you jump into the politician trade, you'll be able to see all the politicians trade from the recent orders coming in this particular table. So recent trades coming in as February 2nd from Kelly Morrison congressman. And then if you scroll down, it goes all the way details into the buys and stock of the stock trade, option trade, and so forth. You can also search any of these politicians and then kind of look into the details on what they've been trading and how the stock has been trending on that. So here, few of the pins here on the congressman, Nancy Pelosi, if I click on that, it brings up this particular screen on all the trades and a quick summary on the trade volume by year. The yellow and green here shows all the trade volumes which has been like either bought or sold. And you can see the trade volumes increased in 2022, 2023 has been slowed down, 2024 has been a little higher. The recent purchases here on Amazon, Tempest AI, Google, Nvidia, Vistra has been one of which came in on January 17th. So this five is where we will be looking into details because this catches some attention, especially all these are call options and which is deep in the money. Again, very quickly looking at this, excess return is nothing but after this particular stock has been bought, how those particular returns has been doing. Especially on the Tempest AI, if I tap on that, you'll be able to see Tempest AI when Nancy Pelosi got into this particular trade was around $31, but it has gone all the way up. So back into this particular screen, again 72%, it just jumped up. There are few stocks, even like this is where we spoke about initially, the Apple and the Nvidia, which has been sold or partially sold, and it has been gone down by close to 9% here, and Nvidia dropped down by 17%. So let's jump into this particular five of this particular strategy, which is deep in the money, and learn this particular strategy a little bit further. So again, learning on this deep power of deep in the money calls. Again, this is not lets you own a stock like the pros, but it's not even a margin. It's not some sketchy leverage trick. It's deep in the money call option, a powerful stock substitute, like Nancy Pelosi has been doing that, and elite traders use to control big position with less capital. I'm gonna bring up a deck here, and then we're gonna learn about this and come back to this particular, and then look into those particular stock. I hope you are able to see my screen. I'm going to bring myself up here as well. Again, the hidden power of deep in the money. So why do we do that? It gives full stock exposure, the downside protection, and built-in flexibility. Why Pelosi loves this deep in the money calls. Instead of buying shares outright, Mrs. Pelosi often uses deep in the money again, or we have seen that in the last 5 call options at least. This isn't just a random choice. There's a calculated reason behind it. The key advantage is the leverage. She gets nearly 100 delta, meaning the option moves 1:1 with the stock, but for a fraction of a capital. Breaking down this particular strategy, owning a deep in the money call allows the trader to mimic the stock movement, which is 1:1 delta, without tying up large amounts of the capital. It accumulates positive gamma, which act as a shock absorber for the market swings. Gain leverage without using the traditional margin account, which comes with interest cost and risk. Again, why is this making sense right now? Options are still moderately priced. Despite the market uncertainty, sell-offs create an opportunity since the positive Vega exposure helps mitigate those losses. Again, think of it as a matrix bullet time effect. Everything slows down, reducing those downside impact. So let's go back here on the Sensa market, and then let's get into the 5 deep in the call trades, and then see those in the graphs here. Let me bring up the Sensa market. Here it is. All right. As you can see, let's jump into this Amazon, which is the e-commerce powerhouse. If I do a copy trade here, it brings you into the Amazon. Again, if you see that the description over there, it's the expiration date was selected for January 16, 2026, and the deep in the money which was selected, which is the call option, was selected at $150 call. Currently, Amazon is at 237, and the call position was at 150. So the net quote somewhere around $96, $96.40, and the delta at 93. Again, why? Amazon continues to dominate on the cloud computing, AI, and e-commerce with a strong institutional accumulation. Instead of buying this Amazon at $237, Pelosi gains nearly full exposure with a 93.67 delta, which is deep in the money. And you see 237 and $150 call, which is deep in the money, requiring significantly less capital. The low extrinsic premium means she's avoiding unnecessary time decay while still benefiting from the stock's upside. Let's go back and look at the other 4 of it as well. So back into this Nancy, Tempest AI again. which was reported here, somewhere purchase price between 50,000 to 100 and $100,000. Here, if you see in the description, a purchase of 50 call option with a strike price of $20 and expiration of January 16. So I'm going to click on this particular copy trade. I'm going to change and adjust this expiration January 16th, 2026. Tempest AI, which is at $61 stock price as of now. And what was the call position is at $20 strike price, which is deep in the money. So if you see this $20, you see the delta, which is at 96.47, and then the code for debit med is at $41.54. Again, Tempest AI is a small cap AI stock, which means Pelosi's entry could have moved the stock itself. The 96.47 delta means this option trade almost identical to the stock, but at a lower capital requirement, just like the previous Alphabet. Given the AI sector's explosive growth, this deep in the money structure locks in the exposure with the full capital risk of stock ownership. So back to Nancy Pelosi's page. The same thing happens on the Amazon, which we saw. Again, Google as well, which is the same, purchasing 50 call option at a price of $150 at the same expiration of January 16. Again, I click on this particular trade and I can see that by going to January 16th of 2026, this is where we change the expiration date. The Alphabet, Google, which is at $201.23. And the strike deep in the money selected was $150 call position. Same thing, you can see the delta is at 88, which is a little low, but pretty close to 100. Again, why the Alphabet? Again, Alphabet continues to expand in the AI, cloud computing, and digital advertising, making it a long-term institutional favorite. Pelosi is leveraging the same capital efficiency here as well. Instead of trying with 200 or going with the $201 per share, she's gaining exposure with the deep in the money with the $88 delta, allowing 1:1 stock movement. Again, I'm going to make this a little bigger here. The deep in the money call lowers extrinsic risk, making this a long-term conviction trade. Same thing, if I go back here, which is the fourth one on the Nancy Pelosi's recent trade, NVIDIA. I'm going to tap on NVIDIA. Same thing, if I look at the description here, 50 call options with the strike price of actually $80 and an expiration of January 16th. So if I tap on this, I'm going to just make this a little bigger, which I forgot to do that before, changing that to January 16th. And here, the strike price, if I can scroll this particular strike price, I can go up and down. Nancy Pelosi did select close to $80 call position, which is approximately net. Did I change NVIDIA? Again, we're looking at the delta of $85 here. Again, why NVIDIA? Again, it remains a leading AI semiconductor company with the institutional investor heavily accumulating shares. The deep in the money $80 call allows Pelosi to control the shares for the fraction of the cost with a delta of $85. If the volatility increases, the option retains its extrinsic value, helping cushion potential losses. The last one here we see is also the same thing, which is the fifth one, which is Vistra Corporation. Again, purchased 50 call option with a strike price of $50 at same expiration of January 16th. Currently, these two things is an excess return lower, but believe that this is gonna, with the given expiration date and this particular strategy, this certainly is gonna see some good profits. Again, tapping on Vistara Corporation, coming here and selecting January 16, 2026. And the strike price here again was at $50. So I'm going to change this, which is very deep in the money. You can see the small graph over there, which kind of shows the volume coming in. So just select it at $50 call position, which is with Zara Corporation, which is at $168, deep in the money, $50 call position, and the delta, which is very close to 197.92 actually. Again, Vistara energy infrastructure investment are gaining momentum, and Pelosi's call position securely secures this long-term exposure. Again, very similarly, the gamma effect cushions short-term dips, making this a strategic trade for controlling risk and long-term upside. So again, owning a deep in the money call allows the holder to participate 1-for-1 or very close. Okay, let me bring back myself here, or 1-for-1 or very close with the profit and loss of the underlying without having to put up with the capital to do so. Again, what Pelosi is doing is using this option as achieving those leverage. The power of deep in the money, right? Institutional Congress traders prefer options over stock ownership for strategic leverage. The second, deep in the money calls allows for controlled risk with full stock exposure while avoiding those margin costs. Let's go back here and then look into the Vestra again, and then little bit jump into the intrinsic and extrinsic value. Again, as we had just selected this particular $50 in the money call, the intrinsic value here, again, we can see that, which is at $168 minus the $50 option call position. 168 minus 50, you're looking at intrinsic value of 118. The extrinsic value is nothing but the debit met, which is the code 121 to get into this particular trade, minus the intrinsic, which is 118, which close to $2.52, or $2.52 is the extrinsic value. So let me bring up the slide, which makes it even better to kind of understand in this one. Again, as we just spoke about this intrinsic value and the extrinsic value, again, the trade offers a leverage ratio of approximately 1:4:1. Again, $168 stock exposure for every $121.05 spent. While not extreme, it provides those capital efficiency compared to owning a shares outright. So what does that mean? Most of the option price here, $124, is intrinsic value, which is 118. Only $2.52 is the extrinsic value, which represents the time value and the volatility premium. Let's talk about this potential outcome. So again, you can think that if the stock rallies up, the deep in the money call moves almost 1:1 with the stock, meaning your profit mirrors the stock ownership without tying up full capital. If the stock drops, the contract retains extrinsic value, which is $2.52 per share, which may increase if implied volatility spikes. As the stock approaches lower, the option picks up, and additional extrinsic value due to demand helps cushion up some of the losses. Vistara, implied volatility is higher than its historical average as of now. So the option aren't really cheap, but the realized volume has outperformed the implied volatility as of late. So it's not necessarily overpriced. Again, bottom line, this deep in the money call mimics the stock ownership, but the low capital commitment and a built-in volatility edge. The 1 delta at a current price, approximately 0.5 delta at the money, 0.2 delta out of the money. As position is losing, gamma is cutting losses. This means you're getting the stock on margin, but cheaper with a bit of hedge. Again, this graph kind of represents those delta in the money, out of the money. We're going to deep dive this into much more details in the upcoming podcast. Let's go back to Sensa market and then kind of go ahead and trade this particular. So again, you want to go ahead and place an order. You can easily connect that Tradier brokerage. It on the place order here. It brings up this particular page where you can connect your brokerage and hit the buy option. So yeah, in conclusion, Congress is what it is, right? We've seen you can continue to track on all this trade, but the last 5 trades has been quite interesting. Again, we have not only seen 3 of it have really surged higher with the stock prices, but all this 5 has a deep in the money. So we have learned something, and then you can easily replicate this and track this on the Sensa market. Again, congressmen, they're allowed to engage in insider trading, but we aren't. We can ride this coattail and pull off the same trade they are, except a bit later as soon as we see those details come out. We can't change the rules, but we can play the game smarter, track, analyze, and act just like they do. So in Sensa Market, we have all the tools to view those congressmen trade, sort it out, continue to track their trades, and then play around on all those strategies. So in the upcoming podcast, we'll learn a lot more on many more of the strategies. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on the platform. Trade safely and allocate responsibly. Happy trading.
You know how the financial world goes. Here comes the buzzkill. Please make sure to take some time to read this boring disclaimer. We will owe you one.